Ms. Chestnut, I'm ready when you are.
I'm ready.
Okay. We're going to get started. Daniel, can you get the lights? We're going to dim the lights because it's easier to see some of the things that we have in the presentation. Yeah, there we go. All right. I wanted to have this workshop with the board because there's several, it's really broken up into two parts. The first part is I'm going to talk about some new initiatives that we've been thinking about with Harris County Department of Ed. The second part is talking about some budget implications that encompass those initiatives and some other projects that I think we need to consider. The issue that I have is as superintendent, some of the initiatives I've been putting a lot of time and effort in. Really been engaged in the executive leadership team in trying to develop them, but I've gotten to a stopping point that I really need, the consensus from the board to suggest that I should continue moving forward in that direction or to stop and go in a different direction. Okay? The first thing I want to draw your attention to is one of the goals that was given to me as superintendent, which is not always an easy goal, but it relates to community relations, and it says cooperative working relationships between the department and the community. And I bring that up because later on in the slide with one of the initiatives, it is not something that directly impacts the school districts, but it certainly impacts the citizens of Harris County. The next thing I want to talk to you about is integrity of the brand versus profit. We've had a tremendous amount of discussion as an executive leadership team in trying to get refocused on our core values as an organization, but also trying to reestablish the brand of Harris County Department of Ed. And what we recognize is some of those things are potentially profitable because they're fees for services. But other things are they strengthen the relationship between us and the community, us and the ISDs, and also help to improve the performance of school districts. And this is the strength of the brand. We really have to take pride and keep maintenance of our brand, and we do that several different ways. Obviously through the performance and the services that we provide, but also in the quality of the facilities and the instruments and tools that we use. And so I say all that because I'm going to be referring to that in a minute. All right, there's two new initiatives I want us to look at today, and I want you to feel free to ask me questions anytime in the presentation, and I'll certainly have some room at the end. The first new initiative that I will talk about here in a minute is the workforce development. This is an extension of our adult education program, and I'll go into a little bit more detail about that in a second. The next one is really through our Department of TLC with Dr. McLeod, and that's a new teacher support initiative specifically focusing on classroom management. All right, workforce development. Potential skills development. What we're looking at, I've been going to these upskill construction meetings that are through the Greater Houston Partnership. I've probably gone to 5 of them. In these meetings, it's surrounded with all the major commercial and industry construction leadership, I guess you could say cabinet members, but you also have representatives from Lone Star Community College, Houston Community College, and all the other different systems that prep people for the skilled workforce development. Some of the potential skills that they've talked about that they need more of because there's a humongous void in Harris County and skilled craftsmen, is specifically soft skills is probably one of the prominent issues, which is people coming to work on time, being respectful, professional, with issues with people passing drug tests and other issues like that. Another skill that they're looking at is welders, pipe fitters, scaffold builders, which I never knew there was such a skill, but that's actually a very needed area in Harris County. Data processors, painters, plumbers, and electricians. So those are all the different types of skilled craftsmen that these construction companies are saying that they need. They give us analysis of how many vacancies there are right now in Harris County. That number fluctuates, but it's over 10,000, and they expect another 7,000 to 8,000 vacancies to come from retirements within the next 5 years. And so the competition is between industry, commercial, the airport, and hospitals are all fighting for the same workforce. And really, to be honest with you, I thought that this would be something that the community colleges would have an issue with us getting in that. But ultimately, they're excited that, they think that we might be able to help with our adult ed because they cannot put out the number of workers that all the contractors are needing. They're competing with one another. Potential focus group. So in one of these meetings, I had one of the major construction companies come to me and says, hey, would you think about doing a partnership? We had a program that we've done before down in the Deer Park area, and we'd like for it to get further north. And I said, I have a facility, and they came out and did a visit. We had several meetings. And what he proposed was something I never thought of. He said, what I would like to do is start an initiative that works specifically with women and teaching them and coaching them to be welders. He said, we've done this before, incredibly successful. They're some of the best welders in the world. They can, tack a, Marvin told me he'd seen a lady tack a piece of, tinfoil together or something like that. Very, very skilled welders. They have excellent soft skills. They report to work on time. They have no issues. And I said, that's something that we can look at. But certainly our other focus group would be other citizens of Harris County. Potential partners. This prominent construction company, I don't want to go into detail of what that company is so far, but right now I'm at a stopping point because I can't proceed until I really talk to y'all about whether this is something that we need to move forward with or not. But this potential construction company had talked about providing the trainers and all the equipment for whatever type of service we decide to get into, whether it be pipe fitting or welding. Budget implications would be ultimately, I want to take this old print shop, which I'm going to show you a picture of in a second, a video of it actually, and repurpose that facility. We own that facility. It is in an excellent location right in front of a city bus stop. It has a tremendous amount of potential with its infrastructure. Other potential implications would be possible site coordinator or director. Ultimately, some other budget implications would be building renovations and then establishing a budget for the program. We got to use a new piece of technology. Daniel and Joe, this is our drone that we have that did a flyover of, this is the print shop that I'm talking about repurposing. This is off of Cross Timbers and 45. It's west off of 45. And so this used to be the old records management facility. And then the other building that you just saw a second ago was the old print shop. That's the old print shop. There's classrooms in there, there's an office in there, there's a lobby in there, and this is really a storage area where there's still a ton of shelves where it used to be our records management. Now, y'all know our records management is at North Post Oak. This is actually an exceptional lot, but we do have some issues with the lot. The first problem that we have is we have limited parking. So if we had a program for our adults, we're going to have some parking issues there that we need to address that somehow, and I'm not sure what we could do about that. Mr. Hooper has informed me that if we don't put this facility up for sale, and we do intend to keep it and repurpose it, we're going to need to start allocating some dollars to it now, because to keep it from falling apart. We've already had vandals. You don't see it in the flyover, but we have air conditioning units over here that have been stripped of all its copper. And so we would need to address the security issues with this campus and then also get some circulating air in there. So it'll buy us some time before we start to repurpose the building into something else. But this facility has great bones, something great to work off of. Okay. So the final ultimate impact that it could have, this new initiative, would be to assist Harris County community, to expand the adult education division. We could take people out of our adult ed after they get GEDs and give them a skill where they could be gainfully employed. And then also expand the brand even beyond the school districts, which we're doing that now for our adult ed, and it's still education. Any questions about that so far before I go on to the next initiative? All right, number 2. New teacher support. Now, what I'm really thinking about that, one of the biggest issues we have, hands down in the state of Texas, but I really believe is throughout the entire country, is classroom management. That's been a significant problem throughout the country, especially amongst new teachers. Too often we see teachers who are very skilled in content. They know their stuff, but because of either a lack of support from administration or whatever, are inability to manage the classroom and disruptive behavior, their career is probably 2 or 3 years long, and then they quit the profession and go to something else. I have seen several small attempts to try to address and support this unsuccessfully. I've seen maybe one that's remotely successful, but I've never seen anybody focus primarily just on new teachers, and that's what I'm wanting to do. So the purpose of this is, like I've just said, to support new teachers in developing and maintaining a positive classroom environment. And this is actually a very bold initiative, because if we are successful in this, the bigger issue is going to be trying to contain it, because everybody will want to be a part of it if it's successful. Focus group. Right now, what I'm looking at while we're trying to develop a plan is to use and do a pilot system of one of our Houston ISD feeder patterns. And I've already been talking to another initiative that's got hold of multiple feeder patterns. And they would certainly love for us to do like a flanking move and assist them with their new teacher development and classroom management. And so we would develop an initiative and pilot it in HISD before we'd expand it out to the rest of the other county school districts. Potential partners is Houston ISD. Budget implications, and these are all question marks. I haven't determined it all yet, but potentially 2 coordinator positions, one at the elementary level, one at the secondary level. And then ultimately they would need a budget. And then impact would be to assist new teachers, retentions, and ISDs, and strengthen our partnerships with the ISDs. My wife is currently a 3rd grade teacher in Humble ISD. Humble is petrified that they have a brand new teacher who has some difficult kids, and all they're talking to her about is, we don't want you to go. We don't, and she has no intention of going anywhere. But I thought to myself, man, they're so paranoid that even Humble, a very proficient, successful, popular ISD, is worried about teacher retention. I thought this was an issue that was primarily with like a really urban school district. It's not. Everybody has this issue. And so I think that this would be a very popular initiative and effective one, but it's not going to be an easy one for sure. Questions, comments about that?
Did I miss something, James? Have you talked to other school districts about this?
No, I have not yet.
To the superintendents?
No, I haven't talked to the superintendent specifically about this. All right. Budget amendments, potential ones. New initiatives, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about new elevators, specifically for this location, and for the 2 in this building and the 2 in the parking garage. And those are actually our elevators right outside the door. I didn't think they looked that good, but Joe took a heck of a picture. And then we're going to talk about our AV School West, and I've got some video footage on that. New initiatives. Scope of budget implications. Well, workforce development and new teacher support would be the new initiatives that we would need some potential budget money for. The amount is to be determined. It really be determined by the scope of it. I can't answer that question for you yet. And I'm just more or less putting that out there, making you aware and trying to get a sense of this, the direction that you would like us to move in. There's some lasagna in the back, Ms. Carter, if you want some. And so I don't have a specific number with the amount for the new initiatives. Timeline, and that would be pending some formal partnerships. You know, out of all the things I'm going to talk to you about today, that's the most vague, because I can't really move forward anymore unless I can get a feeling from the board that this is the direction you would like me to proceed in. I'm to the point where I can't go any further with the workforce development unless I know that I need to start doing something to solidify the campus that we would use and bring in the construction company and say, let's start formalizing this and moving forward. And the new teacher initiative, I really need to know, you know, if creating 2 coordinator positions is something that we really need to do, because this is something that we want the department to move into. Okay, so there's a lot to be determined. Is the biggest thing for our new initiatives with the teachers and the workforce development. Formal requests, that's to be determined also, meaning that when would I bring this to the board to do some potential budget amendments or something like that. I don't have the answer for that yet. Let's talk elevators. All right, so we got 4 elevators. We got 2 in this building and 2 in the parking garage. It's my understanding that the 2 elevators in this building are approximately 28 years old, Les?
Correct.
And the ones in the parking garage are
About
12 years old. Since I've been here since December, I can say with certainty that the ones in the parking garage, I think, have seen more maintenance than the ones in here. I mean, the ones in the parking garage, one of them's down at least once a month, it seems like. The elevators in here, I guess the biggest thing I have to say about that, Mr. Wolf and I were in the elevator and I was telling him that it's so odd that you get used to an elevator dropping a half a foot that you don't even notice it anymore. But it's funny when I'm in the elevator with someone who's not used to that, it catches them off guard and they think something's going to happen. I don't think that's normal and how elevators should work. I think it's an opportunity for us to be proactive and we need to address the elevators. Several weeks ago, we had an extremely embarrassing situation happen where we had a prominent speaker speaking at the 5th floor of the parking garage. And I believe we had 1 elevator down, or was both of them down?
Both of them.
Both elevators were down with over 200 visitors. And so we had people walking up and down stairs. And that was very embarrassing. So we need to address the elevators.